Hello! So a few days ago the new cycle of Stygian Onslaught dropped, and just like last time we're going to do a fearless clear with budget options. The rules are the same as usual. All 5-star characters will be at C0, 5-star weapons are not allowed, and we can't use the Battle Pass weapons either. This time I managed to get a 2-cost clear with a Moika Overload team against the Papilla, a Gaming Melt team against the Turtle, and a Yelan Taser team against the Cactus. So without further ado, let's get into the runs. We start with the Cactus, which in my opinion is the easiest one of the three. We start the run by triggering our Favoniuses and using our skills to generate as much energy as possible before the Cactus starts hiding under a hat. Then we just follow the hat with the yellow trail, and after 3 shuffles we can set up our abilities, with Fischl's Oz, Hazel's VV Shred and Favonius, and so on. Then it's just a matter of rotating through our abilities efficiently and keeping an eye on Oz to make sure we keep near permanent uptime on him. While the rest of the run plays, let's talk about a few other team options. During his hat phase, the boss has insanely high resistances to every element other than Hydro and Electro, so playing a team with damage focused on Hydro or Electro is highly recommended. Any decent Hydro or Electro unit paired with an ammo unit for VV should do the job. Neuvillette, Farina, Yelan, Varesa, Clorand, all of those should be fine, and obviously if you have an Effa, well, the fight is literally free. However, it is also worth noting that all the damage you deal during the hat phase will be transferred to the boss after you break the hat. So you can also play something like a Varesa Overload team, for example, as long as you can still break the hat 2 times before the fight ends. I've also seen people play Pyro DPSs like Moika, Huta, or Arlecchino, where they just use Sincho and Fischl to get the boss out of the hat phase, and then use their Pyro DPSs to deal as much damage as possible when the boss is not hiding anymore. Hyperbloom teams can also work, but make sure to not use your Dendro abilities during the hat phase, since it would just make it longer by weakening the Hydro and Electro auras, and the Hyperblooms wouldn't deal much damage during the phase anyway, because Hyperbloom counts as Dendro damage, and the boss has very high resistances to this element during this phase. So just focus on breaking the hat first with Hydro and Electro, and then you can use your Dendro. Chaska can also be very good here, but we already finished the fight, so let's move on to the Turtle. We start the run by using Rosaria's skill into Gaming's E, and throughout the whole fight we're gonna manipulate the auras in a way that helps us maximize our damage, allowing us to get 150k plunges even without Bennett's burst. We quickly dash away to bait the turtle into the spinning phase, and that's where we have to explain the strategy. First, we use Bennett's E to apply 2 units of Pyro, then use a normal attack and a skill on Sucrose to weaken this aura, allowing Rosaria to trigger a reaction on the first hit of her skill, which triggers her scroll set for a 12% pyro damage bonus, and applies Cryo on the second hit, which allows Gaming to melt his plunge with the scroll buff from Rosaria and the VV Shred and EM share from Sucrose. And because we will do this a lot throughout the run, I decided to give sacrificial fragments to Sucrose instead of TTDS, so we're not locked into having to switch from her to Gaming all the time. Then we set up all of our bursts just before the spinning phase ends, and we do some more elemental aura tinkering by using Bennett's burst first for 2 units of Pyro, then Rosaria's burst to weaken this aura, Sucrose's skill to apply VV Shred on the remaining Pyro and remove the rest of the aura, and then Rosaria is free to apply Cryo, so we wait a split second before using Gaming's burst so that he can get the Bennett's buff on it, and we start plunging. And we need to be careful to time our plunges with the turtle's stomps, because if we get staggered doing a plunge attack, it's basically an instant reset. Then we use Rosaria's skill into Gaming's skill again for an extra melt, and while you can't set up a full rotation here, you can still squeeze in Bennett's burst to get 1 or 2 stronger plunges on Gaming, and still get Bennett's burst back in time for the next rotation. And if you're wondering, the reason why we're always waiting until the turtle finishes the spinning attack before doing a full rotation is because if you try to brute force Gaming's burst through it, for some reason, even if you somehow manage to not get staggered, Menchai tends to just disappear, and then your skill stays on cooldown and you have energy issues for the rest of the run. So we just try to maximize the amount of non-burst plunges we can do while the turtle is spinning, and then do a full rotation whenever it stops spinning. You will notice that I also try to keep the turtle next to the wall to make its movement less chaotic and also make him move a bit slower. As for team alternatives, you can try freeze teams to prevent the turtle from putting up his shield in the first place. Obviously, Mualani is really good, and you can also try a Mawika Vape team with someone like Sacrificial Fragments Barbara, which applies Hydro to enemies next to you but doesn't deal any damage, which doesn't increment the turtle's shield. Anyway, we finish the turtle off with Gaming's Burst and move on to the Papilla. And for the Papilla, this Mawika team was actually surprisingly strong. We start by funneling a bit of energy to Auroron so he can burst after a Janssen skill, although the boss dashed away here, and then just use Mawika Burst and combo the boss. Then we set up a full rotation, and here you can see that when the Abyssal Shield breaks, the boss immediately takes 680,000 damage. This is because all of your Night Soul aligned damage is being recorded through the shield, and when it breaks, all that damage is being sent to the boss at once. So make sure you're still trying to optimize your damage even when the shield is up. It is worth noting though that this is less efficient with non-Night Soul aligned damage, so if you're playing a DPS that's not from that LAN, maybe it's gonna be better instead to focus on breaking the shield faster and set up a strong rotation when the shield is down. Also, I want to point out something about my builds. If your Chevreuse is at least C4, I genuinely think a crit circlet is better than an HP one. I only have 34,000 HP on my Chevreuse because of that, which makes me lose 6% of attack buff on my Mawika, but the 62 crit value you get from it more than makes up for it, because Chevreuse can actually deal some respectable damage with her burst into triple skill, and moving her from Frivonius with an HP circlet to the Catch with a crit circlet helped me get the extra damage required to beat the boss in 2 down phases. Now, I do have C6 Janssen and Chevreuse, but I had so much time to spare here that I genuinely think you can do it even without constellations on them. Alternatively, I also saw a lot of people play a similar team with Varessa instead, and of course you also have the Kinich and Chaska teams, although in my experience they performed a bit worse, but they should still be good. Anyway, that's it for the video, I hope you enjoyed it. Like usual, you can see my builds in the background here. You might notice that I trolled a little bit on my Janssen build and also on my Hazel build. But anyway, I wish you all a good luck on your Stygian Onslaught clears, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!
Judgment.
Huh.